Hello everyone, Cowbunger here, and welcome to another edition of Rate Their Chances. This is where we determine how likely or unlikely a character is to be in Fraymakers. There are many factors I take into consideration when determining this, but the most influential one is popularity, followed by potential, representation, and communication. Here is the scoring system for this series, with 5 meaning I think the character will be in the base roster, while 1 means I think they have no chance of being represented at all. In this episode, we are covering the Batter from Off, requested by Infrared Toa, Will from Moonlighter, requested by Ditto, and Yooka and Laylee from Yooka Laylee, requested by Quadruple D. And to start off this episode, we're going to go with the Batter. The Batter is from Off, which is a RPG Maker game with a focus on solving puzzles and its story. It's been pretty hard to tell exactly how popular this game is. I wasn't able to use my usual methods to figure that out, but I do know that it has a Reddit community with 6.1k members and has a big following on Tumblr as well. I would say just in general that this is probably one of the most recognizable RPG Maker games out there. The Batter is brought up every now and then by fans of Fraymakers, and some even voted for him to appear during the backer survey. This survey just asked which characters and assists we wanted to see in the game. In terms of Batter's potential, the Batter's moves in Off revolve around dealing elemental damage, dealing large chunks of damage at a time, and using his allies to attack. His allies, or his party members in Off, are called add-ons. You can use them to attack, and it kind of looks like he's sending them forward in Off. You can probably adapt that into a fighting game in a lot of different ways. The Batter is a range fighter, and that is needed in Fraymakers. And a bat is a weapon that isn't used by many other characters in other platform fighters. The only other character that I can think of that uses a bat as their main weapon in a platform fighter is Lilim from Blindsight, and even then, she uses her skates a lot too. For representation, the Batter is the protagonist of Off and is the most powerful being in the game with the most moveset potential. In general, the Batter represents RPG Maker, which could use some more representation. Off is also one of the most iconic RPG Maker games ever, as said before. It has influenced a lot of other RPG Maker games and a lot of indie games in general since its release. And for communication, the creator Off goes by the name Mortis Ghost. There does not seem to be an easy way to contact him, so that's really not good. And Off content has not appeared in other games. One thing I can say is that he was set to appear in Indie Game Battle, so that is something, you know, like he was going to be in a platform fighter. But I think getting in contact with Mortis Ghost is a pretty tall task. I'm going to give the Batter a rating of 2.5. The Batter is a great character that is iconic in indie game history, but with very little options to start communication with Mortis Ghost, it stops me from making him one of my predictions to appear in Fraymakers. On to our next character, who is Will from Moonlighter. Moonlighter is a top-down action RPG, taking inspiration from Zelda and other top-down roguelikes. The game has sold over 1 million copies and is critically acclaimed, so that's a really good sign. But I've not seen Will suggested much for Fraymakers, just basically a handful of times. There are 5 types of weapons in Moonlighter. They are the sword and shield, the big sword, the spear, gloves, and the bow. All of these could be represented in his moveset somehow, which I think gives Will a lot of potential. And there are even some weapons that cause status effects as well. And we know that status effects are going to be in Fraymakers, so he could be unique in that he could cause status effects with some of his moves. So that could be really interesting as well. For representation, Will is the protagonist of Moonlighter and has the most moveset potential by far. He's also a shopkeeper, and a shopkeeper in a fighting game is a concept that's not really explored at all, so I think that could be really interesting. And I definitely think that using multiple weapons in one moveset is also not explored in Fraymakers at all. So I think that he could represent something really cool within this game. For communication, Digital Suns are the devs of Moonlighter. 11-Bit Studios are the publishers. Once again, I don't think in this situation that Team Fray would have to talk to the publishers of Moonlighter, but it could be a possibility. Digital Suns have a contact me page on their website, so if Team Fray wanted to contact them, they could. However, Moonlighter has not done any crossovers as of yet. It does help if crossovers have happened in the past before, but if they haven't, then it's just one of those things where, well, it could go either way. So with that being said, I'm going to give Will a rating of 2.5 as well. He is another great character with very clear potential as a fighter, but between the lack of fan support, no proof that crossovers are on the table for Moonlighter, and the likelihood that he would only be an assist if he were added, his score has to be where it is. I do not see Will being a character when there are much more likely character requests, and him as an assist definitely makes sense in this game. I just can't guarantee it at all once again, so his rating is what it is. And for our final character, we are going to take a look at Yooka and Laylee. Yooka Laylee is a 3D collectathon platformer that is practically a spiritual successor to Banjo-Kazooie. The Yooka Laylee franchise has sold at least 1.36 million copies of games, so that's a really good sign. And Yooka Laylee is actually talked about a good bit by the Fraymakers community. I definitely wouldn't say that Yooka Laylee is one of the more requested characters for the game, but he's definitely just a recognizable name in general, so that is really good for him. Yooka and Laylee have skills from both of their adventures that would translate well into a platform fighter. Their abilities are generally unique compared to other confirmed characters. So if you either wanted to make him a character or an assist, I think either way, I think that Yooka and Laylee can do something unique for sure. For representation, Yooka and Laylee are definitely the best representation of their franchise. There's no other character that I would consider. And there actually aren't many big mascot indie game characters in Fraymakers right now, so Yooka and Laylee can help fill the void a little bit. For communication, Playtonic Games are the devs of Yooka Laylee. They do have a business inquiries email on their website. They have done crossovers for other platform fighters before, mainly Brawlout, and they have casually tweeted that they want to work with Team Fray. Of course, it increases their chances a lot, and that's why I'm going to give Yooka Laylee my rating of 3.5. So I do predict that they're going to be an assist in this game, and they have potential to actually be a character if Team Fray really wanted to go that route as well. But Yooka Laylee basically has everything going for them, as I've shown. I see no reason why at the very least the duo won't appear as an assist in the game. The only thing holding them back from being one of my predictions to be a character is that my other picks are just more requested. Speaking of that, here is everybody that I've done so far. Thank you all for watching. In the next episode, we're going to be covering Ori, Cadence, and the Loader from Risk of Rain. So I'll see you all then. Bye bye.